Hello. So this is a podcast I'm starting. I don't have a name for it yet, but it's in and around an exact rip-off of Monkey Jones's Depression Chamber, or Simian Jimmy, as I guess he's called now. So I'm going to be taking stories that people will hopefully send me just about their depression and shitty relationships and how horrible everything is and just life in general, really. Just for whatever you want. Do you have schizophrenia? What kind of shit do you see? What are there demons? Are they nice? Do they have names? Time to find out, I guess. But for the first episode, an old online friend has agreed to help me out a bit by emailing me his horrible life story, so I'll get to read that out. It's a nice way to start the podcast because I talked to him this morning and he hasn't killed himself yet, so it's a positive note in a way. Right. And I kind of know a lot of this story already, and it's not really too much of a positive note, to be honest. But nothing really is. That's kind of the point of this. So if it makes you feel a little less alone, I will now, I guess, hop right in and start reading the email. Okay, so I'll try not to talk during this, so you can tell the difference between me and email. So, 3, 2, 1. Hello. I have a feeling this email is going to be long, so sorry about that if that's a problem. When I was younger, I was a pretty normal and happy kid. Life pretty much revolved around wanting to be emo and serial and drawing self-made superhero comics in my room, a la Chris Chan, except it was okay to have the mind of a child because I actually was one. I was on good terms with everyone at school and nobody bullied me or anything. My best friend was a girl called Kayla who moved to my school in the final year. We were 12 at the time, and we lived only a few houses away from each other, so it was almost a girl next door type deal. Nice. We would chat on the computer or hang out every day after school, and it was bliss. I genuinely think it was the best year of my entire life. We did all kinds of shit together. We would go into the local woods and build forts, go swimming in the river in summer. We tried to start a band together called Mind Goblin where we both played guitar. We lit random shit on fire in her backyard all the time. We had nicknames for each other. I was Tiger because I could run faster than her, but she wouldn't call me Cheetah because it didn't sound cool. She was Katana because she chose the nickname herself. She was definitely the leader in the dynamic, partly because she was already hitting puberty and partly because I was a massive pussy. And she was also a massive weeb, so she'd inject Japan into everything. Damn, the story's depressing already. She even tried to show me hentai once of some girl humping her sister in her sleep, but she turned it off when I almost started to cry. So I guess it wasn't all bliss, lol. We do just plain stupid stuff all the time too. She gave me a beard with permanent marker and tried to get it off with her dad's shaver and cut me in 6 places. And once we wrote a diary cataloging all the tastes of the different leaves of all the trees we could find. They all tasted like shit pretty much, and we didn't swallow most of them. They were probably poisonous. At this point I'm just indulging in my own nostalgia, but this year legitimately gave me half the memories I have or care about in life to this day. Maybe I seem obsessed with her like that book Lolita or something, but I just really miss it. She had an older sister too that was super quiet and never really interacted with us. She just stayed in her room with the curtains shut. This isn't really super relevant now, but I'll mention her again later. Anyways, one time we were hanging out at her house sharing some sweets, brackets candy in America, and playing Halo when she broke the news that she was moving away tomorrow. She wouldn't even look at me when she said it. That moment a switch flipped in my brain. She was pretty much my only friend. Even though I was about to start secondary school, I was crushed like a useless ball of paper. I asked her if she was lying and she just stared forward for about 2 seconds, not saying anything. And out of impulse, I ran upstairs to ask her parents. She called after me, but I barely heard her. When I asked her mom if it was true, she got really mad. Apparently I was supposed to have found out 3 weeks ago, but I guess Kayla never had the nerve to do it. I went home that day distraught. It took me 3 hours to walk home, even though I only lived 4 houses away. I'd take a step or two and just freeze on the spot for another 20 minutes trying not to cry. As I said, I was a huge pussy back then. I didn't go visit her the next day. It wasn't the right thing to do, but I was very emotional and awkward, and she moved away without me seeing her again. Neither of us messaged each other again either. Every time I thought of it, it felt like this huge can of worms for some reason, and I felt sick and I just never did it. I spent the rest of that summer moping around watching anime and playing video games. I made a bunch of new friends in secondary school, and even though I never really got close to any of them, I was always kind of suspicious that they didn't like me. After a year, I was completely absorbed into the ups and downs of my new social life, and she was pretty much forgotten about. 4 years later, life was going pretty good. I was 17 and going into my final year of secondary school before college. Awesome. I had good grades and what I thought were okay friends. Didn't we all, bro? And on the shut the fuck up. And on the first day of school that year, I also had a reunion. I was hanging around with my friends in the hall before class, trading stories about all the cool and mostly uncool stuff we'd done that summer, when I saw a girl that freaked me the fuck out. She didn't exactly look like Kayla. She was taller and much more filled out, and she didn't exactly look like anyone at all. She had green hair and piercings on her eyebrow bracket. She only had one. Nose, lip, ears, and for good measure, I'll just end this sentence with an etc. But every time I looked at her, I saw Kayla. And so I looked at her more, and kept looking at her, and started staring at her until she started walking towards me. I thought I was about to start the year by getting accused of being a weirdo freak and told to fuck off, but as it turned out, it was her. I felt both insanely happy and guilty at the same time, but also wrong, as if I disliked her for some reason. Brackets. I mean, I wasn't exactly a fan of the way she looked now, but I didn't want to judge. It's her choice. I should have trusted that gut feeling and ran as far as my legs would have taken me. From there we became best friends again almost immediately. I prioritized her over my actual friends because she was the only one it felt real around, and she kept getting into drama with my other friends whenever they'd hang out. Basically, she'd take everything as an attack on her while talking shit on all of them, and say it was because she was the only person not wearing a mask and being fake. The worst part was that all this shit she accused my friends of was shit I had been suspicious of all along. That they were secretly backstabbing assholes who only cared about themselves and stepping on other people to get a bit higher on the friend group's social ladder. She was right to a degree. It was secondary school. Everyone was a little bit of a backstabbing asshole, and I felt so relieved to have them called out on it. I didn't notice the smaller details, like the fact that the actual things she accused them of were insane and way over the top. Yes, people in school do shit on you for their own gain, but it's not like every word out of their mouths is them doing that. But we both had such low self-esteem, I couldn't help but buy right into her worldview. That me and her were the only real people in the whole wide world, and I could never see it turning on me, since given that I was hanging out with her all day, and eventually just openly ditched all of my friends for her, brackets, and told her this. She trusted me completely. Just 3 weeks after us meeting again, she kissed me, and therein was born the worst secondary school relationship I have ever come across. She was apparently non-binary and would randomly make me call her Jaden, at such an erratic frequency that looking back I think a lot of it was part of some power play that came from her being insecure about whether or not I respected her gender. It would remain static for days, and then she would change it back and forth about once every 2 minutes for half an hour, just interrupting me over and over again to tell me her name had just changed. I didn't have a problem with the non-binary thing, except one time. I called her Jaden Smith as a joke, and the next time I saw her she had burned a bunch of my clothes for a photography shoot, according to her. That's right, she'd gone into her backyard at night and burned my clothes so she could take cool pictures of them. And when I asked her what the fuck she was thinking, she tried to tell me that I was secretly making fun of her gender and disrespecting her when I called her Jaden Smith. Retarded old me forgave her and said that she should just ask me next time, but that her anger was, quote, reasonable because she thought I had turned into one of the fakes. I was a regular Holden Caulfield back then. If only I'd inspired myself to kill myself. Another thing that happened was she turned me racist. She was big into 4chan and thought that black people were the scum of the earth. You have no idea how scary it is to be walking around a shopping center and to have your girlfriend do a fake cough and very obviously say the N-word when you guys pass a bunch of them just standing around minding their own business. I'm not racist anymore, but the culmination of this was when in my teenage rebelliousness against society, I went out at night to spray paint a Nazi symbol and the phrase "fuck N-words" onto an abandoned building in my local city. I guess partly just to impress my girlfriend as well. And they say romance is dead. 2 black guys spotted me doing this and ran after me. They eventually caught me and beat me. We were all super tired, so it was the slowest fight you've ever seen. Everyone panting and one of them lifting his arms every few seconds to half-heartedly punch me while the other guy half held me there and half leaned on me for support. Jesus fucking Christ. This didn't mean I got off lightly though. My face was very much fucked up afterwards, but the guys were good people I guess and walked away without doing any proper damage, thank God. The real kicker was when I finally got back to my girlfriend. She broke up with me for being a pussy and getting beat up by black people. I had never been so mad in my life. I called her the N-word and left, and she called me a Jew and a gook even though we were both white. I should have called that bitch Jaden Smith again and watched her cry about it. The next day she called me up crying and said she regretted breaking up with me and wanted me back. The amount of shame I feel typing out that I accepted her offer is probably unfathomable to most people. I'm almost glad I went through this in a way, because with my insecurities I probably would have treated a nicer girl like shit in a way too subtle for me to notice. But this has really showed me the evils of self-hatred and how it makes you manipulative and horrible to people, and that I need to fix myself. On the other hand, my life is destroyed now, so maybe not. Oh yeah, I forgot I said I was going to mention her sister again. Her sister developed schizophrenia and became a cam whore and then killed herself. The whole family was crazy. The relationship continued from my final year of secondary school. I became isolated from everyone except her and extremely depressed. I lost all my personality. To this day, I don't think I can even qualify as a fully sentient human being anymore. There was so much tension in the relationship we barely talked, all we did was have sex. She told me at one point that we didn't need to talk anymore because all human beings were horrible people and so personality shouldn't be valued because it was all a lie. Only sex was real and valuable to us disgusting human animals. Personality and loyalty were faulty made-up concepts. So we stopped talking entirely except for functional purposes. All I did all day was have sex with her, jack off by myself, watch TV, eat shitty sugary foods, and do drugs. Yay, what a good time, am I right? She was hugely into drugs and got me to join the bandwagon. I've tried them all now and fried just about every kind of brain receptor you can think of. Closer to the start of the relationship, she got me to get a €2,000 bank loan so she could get a car, and she used all the money on drugs instead. Apparently it was her money and she could do what she wanted with it, which I thought was fair enough so long as she paid me back, but she never did. Once again, I was a massive pussy. She would also blame me for her sister's suicide all the time, which happened about halfway through the relationship after all that other stuff and the racism and my clothes being set on fire. This even though I'd never really even talked to her sister, saying that if people like me didn't exist, her sister wouldn't have done it. Eventually, she cheated on me and broke up with me and sent me a bunch of videos of her having sex with other guys to make me jealous. I ended up failing school and my parents kicked me out and told me to get a job. Since then, I've been working retail and pretty much friendless. I want to get an actual education someday, and a job, and a good social life, but I'm so depressed I can't even imagine a job that I would hate doing any less than retail, or that I'd have the motivation to do, and my trust issues are worse even now than they were before she re-entered my life. I still think about her all the time now, but the younger her, the her that really was my best and only friend in the whole world, I wish I could just go back to that. Okay. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. Bro, I knew pretty much all of that story, except for the getting the shit beat out of you by black people. That sounds rough, man. I mean, it all sounds pretty rough. But anyways, keep on trucking, as they say. And you know what? I mean, I'd probably try to give advice, but I really can't. My advice would probably just to be do mushrooms or some stupid shit like that. I'm depressed as shit too. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But you've heard all my shitty advice before. Who am I even talking to right now? Anyways, I'll talk to the audience. So yeah, that was that. I hope you enjoyed hearing that. And if anyone has any stories of their own about depression or, I don't know, abuse or horrible relationships, or it doesn't even have to be that bad, you know, just embarrassing yourself in front of women or even men or transgenders, whatever the fuck you want, send them in. Email to sodiumraccoon with 1C at gmail.com. 1C because a friend made the email when we were 12 and he couldn't spell, but you know, at least we knew what like elements were and shit, you know, we were kind of smart. Anyways, so yeah, I figure I might do a rant at this point in the air quotes podcast, you know, just to supply some of my own content here, or at least, you know, relieve myself in some way from my own existence. And this week I'm thinking I'm gonna rant about having a shit imagination, which has affected me just about my whole fucking life. I found a subreddit about this recently that kind of pissed me off, because I needed some ammunition, I guess, for this rant. So I googled cool daydreams on Reddit, hoping that I'd find, I mean, how cool could it be? Like, surely, I was expecting, like, sometimes, like once a week or so, I imagined that my dog could talk, and I spent about 20 minutes thinking, dude, what would that little rascal say to me? I bet he'd have all kind of things to say. Hey, can I have some food? Oh, I hate airplane food, even though I never had it, because I'm a dog, you know, and then, you know, then they'd return to the endless pit of despair of just fucking monotony, you know, after like 20 minutes of that, which is like the best I get. But no, not at all. They're legitimate. There's a whole subreddit for this. It's called immersive daydreaming. There are people out there who have whole like books in their head, and it really pisses me off. But I mean, it's so fucking hard to find a good book. Imagine if you could just like make a good book by yourself, like without needing any motivation, you know, which is the main reason we haven't all written books. And, you know, these people have all these fictional characters, all these weird situations. There's some weird ones. There's some people that, you know, they're like, I constantly imagine like my characters getting raped and shit, like not on purpose, it's just, you know, and that's kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, bro. But, you know, a lot of the time they're just having fun, they're just making up stories in their head, you know, which is crazy to me, because literally the only things in my imagination are either literally me, not some character, just me, the real me in my head, either fucking people that I know, or arguing with people that I know because they hate me and they start an argument with me, and then I have to defend myself to them in my imagination for like 20 minutes until I realize what the fuck am I doing. Or I'm listening to a song and instead of like actually hearing the song, I'm just thinking, bro, imagine if I made this. Wouldn't that be crazy? And then I try to think of a music video or something, but I'm so uncreative. It's just like me, like playing guitar with a video of me playing it, which is quite unstimulating. I think if I actually listen to the song, I'd have a much better time. But I don't. And it's nigh impossible to listen to the fucking song at this point. I've tried to force myself. It's like, it's like there's some wall, like there's some force field, like, I can hear the lyrics and I'm almost worried as I'm hearing them. Like, it feels like they're fading away from me. Like, the attention span is like, oh god, it's on the lyrics right now, but I'm about to start just fucking being depressed about some shit and then ignore the rest of the lyrics. And I'll have to listen to the song like 3 times if I actually want to hear all these lyrics. I just don't know how the fuck some people have such rich internal world while being depressed as well. And not only that, some of these people, like, before they go to bed, they, like, when they're in that kind of space, apparently their daydreams become straight up virtual reality fucking experiences. They start hearing things and seeing things and smelling things and feeling things that aren't there, and then they're like, oh, I get so ecstatic, I get shudders down my spine, and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't think I've ever got imaginary shudders. I mean, even my dreams are just my daydreams, but I'm not in control of them. My dreams are just like me fucking arguing with someone, or doing some dumb chore, or like having sex with. That's it. My dreams are like psychopath dreams. You know how they say psychopaths are all like, they don't have emotions and they're all boring as shit. They're just constantly bored, and their dreams are black and white, and just like nothing happens and nothing ever happens, and their internal reality is just like a blank void. That's me. That's my dream. Except I'm not a psychopath, because psychopaths are like, dude, they have. I was reading about this. They have like no fear. Like literally, they don't, like, you try to startle them, and nothing happens. They just like look at you blankly, and it's like, I fucking wish. Yeah, I fucking wish I was a psychopath. Nah, I didn't get that gift from God. I'm scared as shit of, I'm not climbing a fucking mountain or doing a backflip. Are you kidding me? I've been alive 20 years. I've had so many opportunities to do a backflip. Do you think I've done a backflip? I've done a back handspring. I've done that thing where you jump back and then you put your hands out like a pussy to save your neck from getting broken. Yeah, I've done that a billion times. I never did a fucking backflip though. That's a different thing completely. It's insane. That's what I'd do if I was a psychopath. Like fucking manipulating people. Dude, people are fucking hard to deal with already. And I'd be too autistic to manipulate people. I just like at least I could do a backflip. So anyways, you know what? That rant, I'm definitely gonna do a rant again next time. That loosened up the cogs in my brain. Okay, anyways, thank you, goodbye. Hopefully somebody sends me, some stories so I can read something next time. Or else I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll just like maybe just try to find stories somehow. I'll try to find somebody's diary or something. Go on like Reddit and go on. Well, I mean, we don't have brain cells anymore, so we can't go there. I'll find something though. I'll find something. Somebody email me something. That'd be cool, but I'll find something. We're getting a second episode of this. Okay, goodbye.